So first off, why is it important to learn about the top 5 mistakes that translators often make in their career? The number one reason is that if you can avoid these mistakes, it's just going to save you a lot of your own time and money. So it should be very motivating to learn about these because these are the result of a bunch of expert translator interviews that we have done and mistakes that those expert translators have shared with us and mistakes that we've seen translators make. And you can just avoid maybe half of the most common mistakes people make. It's just going to save you thousands of dollars and dozens of hours, if not hundreds of hours of wasted time. Second, if you take advantage of that, you can actually grow your translation business or career much faster because you're spending your time on things which have a greater percentage chance of working out or helping you instead of having to kind of guess at what you should be spending your time on. And then the third reason is that if you can learn from the experiences of others, throughout your career, you'll be more successful than everyone else around you at your same level of experience. You can't speed up the number of years of experience you have, literally, but you can perform at a higher level than everybody else with your same level of experience by learning through other people. It just helps you become more wise and more effective and more efficient at everything you do. So first off, mistake number one that we see lots of translators make is accepting too many translation assignments. Lots of translators, whether they're earlier in their career or running their business, want to grow their portfolio of projects, grow their resume, grow their reputation and experience in little sub-niches of the industry. And with the industry being so competitive, it's often can be tempting to accept 3 to 4 or 5 to 6 projects at any one time, even though, you maybe can only handle 2 effectively. And the problems really arise when, the clients, want great quality work and you're used to giving that through giving them a translation that's been reviewed 4 or 5 times, but when you're pressured under short-term time commitments, you may have to turn things in you've only looked at once or twice, and so the quality of your work can be lower. And one of the best ways to get translation work is through clients you've already worked with. So ironically, if you focus too much on getting a lot of translation projects, you're going to end up having a more stressful career or business, a less stable career or business, and probably a less profitable career or business, because you're not going to get as much follow-up work and you're not going to get as many referrals for more work because your quality will be so much lower. A good rule of thumb to remember while working in the translation industry is that 8 to 20% of your time should always be spent on marketing and developing new relationships in the industry. Another 5 or 10% of your time should be spent on administrative tasks. And if you ever find that you're spending all of your time on projects for a week or 2 or 3 straight, then you know that you're too project focused and you need to take a step back and make sure that you're doing things in an organized, professional way that's going to be successful long term for your career or business. The number 2 mistake we see is lack of cultural knowledge. Many people, see translation as translating a word to a word and using a glossary or a dictionary, but really that's what an online software translation tool does. And there's much more to translation than that. There might be many choices for one word, and there's whole meanings behind sentences and paragraphs and tones behind sentences that need to be paid attention to. And really, the online translation and environment is so competitive, you really need to differentiate yourself far from those free tools and hopefully far from other translators in the industry by showing your superior cultural knowledge, that you really know not only the broader culture behind your target language, but also the sub-niches you might specialize in, such as accounting, engineering, business, or law. The third most common mistake we see is people being generic. And the story I like to tell about this is, if you have a horrible headache, like a migraine, and you can't do any translation work because you have such a bad headache, and you go to the pharmacy to get some medicine, what are you more likely to spend your money on? A bottle of something called medicine that will hopefully help you, or something called extra strength headache medicine. Obviously most people would, if they have a horrible headache, would buy the extra strength headache medicine because it's very specific to their need and their pain and their challenge. And that's true in the translation industry as well. Your clients have very specific needs and challenges and experiences, and they work typically in very specific industries. So the more specialized you can become, the more valuable you'll be to them. And the mistake we see is lots of people saying that they're specialized in 10 different industries or specialized in all these different sub niches, which really means they're not specialized in anything. So make sure you're not generic. The fourth mistake we see is stretching the truth. In marketing your business or yourself in your career, many people stretch on their resume what they have worked on or what they could do. Sometimes people work on just 2 or 3 translation projects, and they stretch that out and make it look like 5 or 10 or more projects. And part of this is people just trying to get started in the industry and be taken seriously, and you might very well be able to perform well on these types of projects for clients, but doing this really can hurt your reputation. Again, it can lower your ability to get referral clients and ongoing work from the same clients. And really, you should try to avoid stretching the truth whenever possible. Be honest and upfront with clients, and they'll appreciate your honesty. You're going to save them time. And worst case scenario, you may have to lower your initial rate on the first project or two, but tell them that you're willing to work very hard and you want to prove yourself and be a long-term resource to them. And over 2 or 3 projects, your rate could go back up to an industry standard. If you have to start a little bit lower because it's a new area for you, that's okay, but just be honest about it from the start. 5, most translation professionals that we have worked with through the Global Translation Institute and in the CTP program look for work almost entirely online. There's different websites that provide translation job boards and job listings, and I think many people forget about the local community they live in. Every major city has lots of companies that need translation services, and being local can give you a huge competitive advantage. You can meet with them in person, grow relationships more effectively, gauge how a project is going, check in with a client easier. You can work in the same time zone as these clients in your same city. And just don't forget about your community when looking for extra translation work.